Shields are about down. Let's start using our weapon abilities. And they've brought in a second praetor already. That's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We'll have to beat this one down as quickly as possible. Hello, hello, and welcome back everyone to Star Wars Empire at War, the Fall of the Republic mod. Recently, we have managed to secure Mandalore's influence at a high enough level to side with the Death Watch, where we are trying to use the heroes over here, Bo-Katan, Pre Vizsla, and Lorca Gadik over here. So we're going to want to start building and recruiting Mandalorian soldier platoons because they're very decent anti-infantry units themselves, as well as bring out the tankiness that we can't really get with our standard battle droids. However, our immediate plan for today is to capture Ambar, to lock in Kashyyyk over here and make sure that is very well isolated indeed because of this massive fleet over here, which does have two praetors, and that's a lot more manageable than previously. However, we need to remember that Kashyyyk does actually have a hypervelocity cannon present on it over here, which is a shame that we can't actually invade that at the moment. Might even be worth bringing around Asajj Ventress and Dirge over there to even take that by stealth and take away the hypervelocity cannon. Might be a decent idea there. I wonder if the Mandalorian heroes don't actually have the stealth option, and neither does Count Dooku, I believe, which is a shame. He does. That's very interesting. So we could bring him in, maybe bring in Asajj Ventress as well, but Asajj is all the way down on Fondor. And that's a little plan we could well do because they don't have any standing garrison, and the garrison units are going to come out of the TX-130 factory here and of course the Senator's office. The placement of the cannon is unfortunately right at this back corner here, so we'll have to build advancing bases as we move through to take that on. That's something we might well try actually, but first we have to take Ambar. We might immediately send this particular fleet over to Ubrikia over here, which does not have a hypervelocity cannon but does hold all of these land units waiting to pounce and reinforce somewhere. So we're going to do that immediately, and we're going to bring in our army over here to take Ambar. Okay, so while we're here, we might as well destroy the bases over here. This is a capital shipyard, as well as defended by a Valor-class starbase over here. So that's going to have a fair amount of fighters and corvettes come out of there, and we do see acclimated reinforcements from the capital shipyard. We've not decided to bring in our subjugator ship over here, so that we can make room for more fighters and bombers for this particular battle, because that's what's really going to chase down the enemy transport ships. So, let's see if we can maneuver into position, shall we? Let's get our tri-fighters and standard fighters over in one location. Bring them forwards, of course. We'll get our bombers as well as our Gazantes into a control group. And they can focus, I think, the nearest ships for a minute. Of course, our fighters will have to make sure that the enemy fighters do not make contact with our bombers, and we'll start moving in with our more powerful ships over here, our more mainline ships.
General Grievous frowns on such ineptitude.
We'll come towards this general direction. We have brought in a lot of these missile boats so that they can do some decent damage through the Valor-class starbase, so we'll bring in the Omni to support them. They do benefit quite greatly from the fleet tenders and repairs that the Omni brings. Just spread out our formation a little bit so that we're not subject to rocket attacks and such so easily. We'll bring forwards our diamonds for point defences and such. And we'll tidy that up as we move in later. We are making contact with enemy fighters and such. Let's get our bombers onto the Arctons over here. Separate from the enemy fighters and such. Really ripping that apart. It does not have point defense capabilities to withstand that attack. We're going to go to the back over here towards this PDF Dreadnought heavy cruiser here. Do exactly the same there. It's still on cooldown for our rockets, so the bombs are going straight in. We will be aided by our gunships there, which is excellent. Trying to get some semblance of a formation over here. We can engage at range over there. Very, very nice indeed. Here come the rockets, just obliterating the hard points on these ships. So we might actually go over, once we've rid ourselves of some of these hard points, Actually, we'll just completely destroy this ship with our bombers. We're very, very close. We can skip on over to one of these acclimators. These are acclimator carriers. Let's move forwards a little.
How are you doing that?
Orders, sir.
Transmit destination.
And what we can do is move through here. Losing some tri-droids by the looks of things, apparently. Let's move those into position. How are we doing with these acclimators? Not too bad, of course. They're coming into range of our mainline ships now, which is excellent. Being prohibited a little by the corvettes over here. They will provide point defence. We're going to come over with some point defence of our own. We're going to get our bombers directly onto the enemy fighter base on the Valor class star base, which does have a huge amount of hull and shield points on that. So it will take quite the battering. But we're not pressed for time with this battle because the enemy does not have any ground to orbit guns. And that very much helps us indeed. We can start actually pushing onto that with our ships now, of course. Let's move in. Well, the enemy has finally come for Geonosis. After lasting 101 cycles, we're not going to be able, unfortunately, to fend off this massive fleet they have. They have a praetor in there, 10 venators, couple acclimator carriers, 25 victory ones over there, and somehow still invincible. We haven't destroyed all of those just yet, but we are set for a fairly decent ground defence there. We do have some turbo laser towers to hide behind. And we'll see about that, really. We can't do much on the space area there. We do need to make sure we are in position, of course, to take Ambar over here as well. Well, we're finally back on the ground of Ambar before the enemy can set foot onto Geonosis with their own army. We've decided to start with 2 MTTs for a slow push towards the central command post here for an extra few pop cap. A bit stupidly, we've decided to go for some gunships to start with, completely forgetting that the enemy does have some UCAAs about. So they'll rip through our gunships, which it's rather silly of us to bring them, if I may say so, but does allow us to scout ahead and see if we can pick off any units around these extra command posts and such, doesn't it? We'll control group those so we do have easy access. Do a very slow push. The enemy does have a standing garrison of UCAAs, as we're just about finding. Very soon they do have some other standing AA defences there, and that you see is ripping apart our gunships. They're pretty much useless at that point. So we're going to have to create some repair bases already for them. And they do have a lot of LR-57 droids, which is the main reason to bring ahead our MTTs here, who should be able to rip through those fairly easily with their heavy anti-infantry blaster cannons. We'll start fire on this anti-tank turret there, and we'll start repairing our gunships over here as well. We do actually have an anti-infantry gun there, so we'll repair here, and our gunships should be able to deal with that fairly easily. Deal with the infantry turret first. Yeah, they're coming in with these Hulk droids as well. That's absolutely fine. We can deal with them fairly soon. And we'll bring in some supers now as well for some good all-round attack. And of course, these HMPs will help with the TX-130 garrisons as well, which is excellent. Just about losing that command post because we didn't stand right on top of it. Absolutely fine, we can instantly retake that. We'll set up a support base there. Now we will go back to repairing over here. We'll come back and build, I think, a back to healing station. Move forwards a little to build up some offensive turrets there. We do have some droids coming in here. Going down fairly easily. They do work very similarly to our crab droids. They do have a little less health than crab droids though, but they do sort of rip apart any infantry for themselves. Yeah, there we see a UCAA there. Absolutely fine. Let's bring in some more infantry to deal with that. Did we not bring in all of the droids we've wanted? Don't think so there, that's absolutely fine. We'll bring in some artillery as well. Also on that ACRT, who's really not sure actually what he wants to do with his movement there. Not to worry, it works in our favour. Have another ACRT over here. Let's pull back, just collect ourselves. Looks like we are being attacked on the southern side over here, so bringing our gunships to help there. MTT's dealing with a hill there, which is rather unlucky. Let's get up some more turrets. And there we go, fended off over here. Due to watch out still. Over here, that's a UTAA, so we'll stay away from that. We'll bring in some supers. Artillery's having a go. I think what we want to do is push up to this particular command post here. So we'll do that, so we'll bring everything over. And we'll protect the artillery for now with some infantry and gunships. We'll bring over though our repair droids and such to help with our push. These MTTs are losing out on a bit of health there. Clearing the way for our gunships as well over there. We do see a Hulk droid down here, so just move over with our gunships once again. Not a problem. Where are those support droids? Got up another support base there. That's going to do quite a bit of damage to our HMPs there, or MTTs rather. Can't do much about it because they're rather slow, but the artillery is helping out there. Getting some minor heals out now. Oh, we're right in the range of that AA battery once again. We have lost 2 HMPs in that small time that's taken there, so we're going to have to deal with that. Get rid of these droids. And what we should do is get down our own tanks so that we get some AATs down. And maybe some crabs might not be a bad idea. There we go. That bloody AA gun. Get up another support base here. Move up over here to support our tanks. Where is that support droid company? Set up a turret over here just to screen for our artillery. Once we've landed, we'll try and get some semblance of a formation going. So our crabs behind our more meat shield type units there. Have healed up over here, but I don't really want to send them in if they're going to get wiped out once again. It's quite the loss, unfortunately. But not to worry, we do have a lot of production in this general area. It's absolutely fine. So, ground to space weaponry prevents auto bombardment. Interesting. We dealt with that hypervelocity cannon then? I did not notice that. Didn't see a power generator or anything. Not that affects hypervelocity cannons. Rather interesting there. Okay, so we did actually take a good few losses there with the HMPs and the 2 super battle droids there. Rather careless oversight, so we should not have brought in the HMPs knowing that the enemy had UTAA companies about. Quite silly there. But not to worry, we can certainly replace them. Let's go over to Onderon, and I'm pretty sure we have something else going on. Of course, we do have the defensive Geonosis to think about over here. We have managed to retreat with a few units there. We are going to bring in the subjugator meant for our centre there. That's interesting. A waste of time. Okay, that's unfortunate there. We missed a mission from over here. We were bringing a Sarge Ventress over to Kashyyyk and such. Here she is actually, I believe. Certainly. Let's go down and try and at least destroy the hypervelocity cannon then. Wish us luck. So we do of course need to bring in both of our heroes for this. get out of the way there so we don't path block ourselves and immediately create a military field base there. Speed up time. And we can't waste too much time, so we're instantly going to go for this particular. In fact, why do we have so many buildings here? This is an infantry only path, so we can go through there. Let's go through this particular space. I am worried about these being potential turrets here though. If you see on the minimap, we can see a lot of potential buildings there. We're going through the infantry path, of course, avoids any big nasties, any enemy tanks and such we might struggle with. We are under attack from something already. What have we seen? Some Wookiees. Ah, okay, that'll be it. Then we've got to fight through Wookiees if that's these buildings then. Not to worry. Just come up with our reinforcements, attack these as quickly as possible, get another field base going, constantly bringing our reinforcements here. Now, the Wookiees will provide some sort of horror to us. We've lost that field base because there's tank coming in already. That's rather nice to see, isn't it? Enemy does have artillery about, so we might want to try and rush that down. Use these B2s over here, because they will really hurt our heroes. See, that's been the case already. Yeah, that bloody artillery is not letting us have that field base. Not to worry. We'll destroy these Wookiee outlets as soon as we get to them. Struggling but displacing, that's artillery. Is that a crusher? Is it trying to crush us? Not able to. Is it worth us moving in with these dwarf spiders to take some shots over there? Perhaps. Well, they're not doing too much against that. Let's move over. Just get to that hypervelocity cannon. One over here. Come on. Move against that, please. The Sarge is much quicker than Dooku by the looks of things. Not to worry, we can capture these turrets over here, these build pads. And our dwarf spiders can destroy this and hopefully build up some field base there. Struggling a tad, what have we got behind us? Their speed is not going to be good. Come on. Don't want that artillery to set up once again, please. It's rather nasty. Get closer. There we go. Lovely. Rebuild that to distract the enemy. Need to heal over here. Get them. Can they do much damage there? That's the question. Are going to do something against it. What about Dooku here? Come on. Is he stuck? Have to use our abilities. Of course. Let's go back over here to heal with Ventress. Create an anti-infantry turret to help us out. And that shield is not going to be good for us. Looks like Dooku's not doing too much over there, unfortunately. Just lightning down these guys. Not responding to, that's unfortunately. Big shame. Let's get rid of these ARC troopers. What's Ventress doing? Not doing much either. There we go. Just in the wrong position. Okay, let's see if we can get Dooku on that properly then this time. Back to healing station, really helping us out there.
Defeating you will be a trivial task. Defeating you
not doing what we want him to. Not to worry, he can just protect Ventress back then. She will get that down. And we're going to have to try and capture a reinforcement point once again so we can successfully retreat out of this. So let's go down the middle here. Get rid of these Wookiees while we're doing it. Sarge really rushing through there.
You are nothing without the power of the dark side. The dark side is
just see some infantry in here. Not to worry. Yeah, okay, let's get rid of these. Might actually want to create a turret of some sort here. The ARC troopers get on top of this field base.
Not to be feared. This is Dooku. What is the situation?
And I think we do, of course, have this command post still, but I think we'll just make sure, we'll double check because we are probably about to lose that. What is Dooku up to? Is he actually doing anything against that? He is hitting that, that's fine. Brilliant, let's capture that. And we can order a retreat here. Excellent. So, we can retreat because the hypervelocity cannon's down, and that clears the space to destroy that horrible fleet right in the centre of our back line. Excellent stuff there. Very nice little covert operation. We don't lose anything. Destroyed the anti-vehicle cannon, but most importantly, ground-to-orbit gun there. Now, we do get a message that the enemy's coming from Renvar to invade Felucia there. Rather a shame. We will have to send something out later. Don't mind trading Felucia at the moment. That shouldn't be the greatest fleet and such out of there, with it being a level 1 spaceport and such. But not to worry. So let's instantly go over here, double check we do want to take this fight at the moment. It's largely pelters. So it's those 2 praetors. We have a lot of carriers over here, and of course we have that subjugator. I think we should be absolutely fine for that. Wish us luck. We'll double check we are, of course, deploying properly. We certainly are. While we think about it, we'll do that. Let's go and take this on. Righty then, so here we are. They do have a minor Golan 1 for some sort of reinforcements, just some fighters and corvettes, and of course a frigate shipyard over there. We will stay at the back over here so that we can deploy our fighters and bombers correctly. So here we go, fairly small fleets, but of course relying on the subjugator and the bombers. We've not brought in our own interdiction mines, but the enemy doesn't appear to want to retreat because they have deployed their own interdiction mines here. Not a problem. We can send in the bombers to destroy some of the more minor ships to begin with, the escorts around the praetor, and then we'll move in with our main ships, of course, to make sure we are deploying properly. Get hold of all of our bombers. Not loads and loads at the moment, but not to worry. Certainly do a good job against what the enemy has currently. So let's move our bombers in immediately, and I think we'll go for this Dreadnought over here to begin with. And we'll of course move in with our fighters to cover. Make a small move up to begin with over here.
Countdown approaching 0.
Yes, sir. Frequency open. Swinging around at your command.
Because this will at least bring our reinforcing bombers and fighters a little closer when we do eventually start losing squadrons. Okay, so the first shot's being fired up onto this Dreadnought. They have brought in more from their garrisons, not a problem there, we can certainly deal with them. I'm going to be hampered a little bit by the point defence of the pelters and such, but absolutely ripping apart that first Dreadnought. Let's go over to this direction because they have a little less point defence over here. Tying up their fighters and bombers, of course, to help us out a tad. Absolutely huge volleys coming from our bombers there. And we'll let the praetor try and charge into our own formation over here. So we do get good range on that, away from this escort as well. No need to rush in too head first. Like that. Let's get rid of these hard points where possible. Get rid of the fighter bays especially I want to get rid of. And we'll get on over to the rest of the unprotected cruisers over here. Are we starting to lose fighters and such? We certainly are, so bring those in. Come over here. And it looks like we're firing out our iron cannons and such over towards these minor ships. Iron cannon is going to the praetor. Excellent. We'd like to get rid of its escorts a little quickly though. Just more quickly. Get over here, tie up these fighters. There we go. Lovely stuff. Bombers are doing some great work here. We'll have to focus down the enemy praetor though. Quite happy to let our bombers deal with the enemy frigates and such. Just pick on, go in between their ships as we destroy their hard points. Starting to lose bombers though, not a problem. Let's bring that over. Come over as well. Just press stop here because we're getting right on top of that praetor, and I don't like that idea at all. Let's give us a proper attack command there. And once the shield's down, we'll start using our abilities to supercharge our proton torpedoes and such. Make sure we have all of our bombers selected because we are starting to lose some. And the shields are about down. Let's start using our weapon abilities, and they've brought in a second praetor already. That's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We'll have to beat this one down as quickly as possible because we'll start taking losses for sure. That does mean our subjugator actually is very heavily threatened there. Get on top of the praetors then over here with our bombers and such. Make sure we're dealing with the horrible turbo lasers and such. Rip that apart so that it can't hurt us quite so much. See, we do rip that apart fairly quickly with our focus fire. And what we'll do then is get our praetor, our own subjugator, to focus on the second praetor with its iron cannons and such. Struggling with its movement commands, which is a shame. Make sure our fighters and such are still active against enemy bombers. We'll make sure we're doing some good work with our own bombers. Right, let's focus completely on the second praetor because those shields are very, very nasty indeed. Get our captain munitions onto the pelters and such because they'll start providing some minor heals. Looks like that first praetor is dealing rather nasty though. We've dealt with all of the turbo lasers, just some ion cannons there. Doing rather nasty with our own ship over here, our own subjugator. And of course this ship over here not doing great either. We're right on top of us. Come on, we're going to start losing ships of course. I'm happy for the trade though, just to get rid of this horrible, horrible fleet. Bring in, I think, some... That's a very difficult question. What do we want to bring in here? Let's bring in an Omni on the back. And we'll bring in, I think, a auxiliary destroyer. Really struggling with this massive shield here. We no longer have our super heavy arm cannons. Come on, blacking bombers once again. Very, very messy indeed. Very, very messy indeed. We're going to lose a subjugator, unfortunately. Has lost most of its hard points. I was not expecting them to bring in the praetor before we sunk this one. That is down to one ion cannon there, so it's not going to do direct damage to us. We've lost Magnificent. We need to bring in another one, of course. We'll bring it a couple. Bring it to the flank, so that can't hurt us too hard there. Bring in some captors for more bombers, frigates and such. Starting to rip through our ships now because they have destroyed that particular subjugator. Let's pause here very quickly and take stock of what is going on. Yeah, very nasty indeed. Losing the captors over there as well. Still no significant damage to that shield. Starting to lose the frigates over here. That's on the back, thank you. Come on. Select, we are starting to get through that shield and do some damage to the hard points now. Very good indeed. Let's get rid of the heavy quad turbo lasers as quickly as possible. Bombers are just automatically firing, which is excellent. Not a problem. We can certainly get rid of this fleet. It's a massive, massive cost ourselves. Okay, let's do that. Make sure our fighters are tying up bombers and enemy fighters. Once again, just do a little bit of micro there, tiny bit there. Gonna start losing this over here, unfortunately. Not liking that. Just keep the damage going so that shield can't regenerate, of course. Use our captors to fight the more minor corvettes and such because they're hindering our bombing ability. Bring in some more ships to the back here. Do need more guns. Starting to lose our more minor frigates once again. Do have powerful weapons with these ships over here, so we should really start using that properly. There we go, losing another recusant over there. Don't want to let, of course, this second praetor regen its shields. So let's get our bombers onto that. Making quite the meal of this. quite the meal indeed. Get our gunships onto there as well, just to help out. But we will certainly destroy these two praetors, and that's a massive threat to our flank extinguished. Okay, let's start onto these pelters with a few ships, because they're really getting on my nerves. I'll use our recusants to just batter down this final praetor here. Bombers dealing with the shields. Excellent stuff. So quite the slog, massive loss with our subjugator there, but it did get heavily focused down. And imagine if they had a hypervelocity cannon on the ground there. Okay, let's get back onto the enemy stations and such now, and deal with the rest of these pelters. Get some semblance of a formation going. They are decided to retreat because they destroyed... That's interesting. Fuck it, we'll let them retreat because we've done what we needed. Oh, no, okay, they're going. Excellent, that is active. That's interesting, they're able to do that to start with. Not to worry though. Pelters are coming down to have a look. Well, massive, massive losses on both sides there, but the ultimate goal has been achieved, and in quite the Machiavellian way, the ends do justify the means. Of course, we will have to rebuild another subjugator, that's not exactly cheap, and of course provide the more Providence reinforcements there as well. Rather nasty indeed. We do have a land battle on Felucia immediately as well. What does the enemy have? 15 bark speeders and some ACPTs. We do have some light factory over here with some homing spider droids and armoured tanks. They should be able to deal with the bark speeders and ACPTs themselves, but the massive amount of bark speeders, and they come in companies of 8. Absolutely disgusting. We're not going to be able to push too hard onto the command posts here. We don't have any standing forces there, but we should give this a go, I think. So we're instantly going to move infantry over to this command post, and we're going to split some forces over to the top over here. We do need to make sure we get some build pads going. We'll capture this as we move through, surely. Excellent. We will create an anti-air turret there. Anti-air turret here to protect ourselves from bombing runs. We do have one over here, so we'll just send some B1s and take that. And another anti-air turret there, I think. Capture this. What else do we have on the way here? Do our destroyers move a little quicker by themselves there? Might be useful. They certainly do. Have to build up a field base here. We'll use the destroyer to stand here while its shields are up. Get the crab droids onto here to build a turret. We can see the enemies coming through. Probably garrison inside here, actually. Stop the enemies so much there. Move through here. Defend on here with some anti-infantry turrets. Now we can see so many speeders coming through. That is really, really nasty. I'm not entirely sure if we can fully help ourselves out here. Look at that. Absolutely disgusting. They're not focusing the spider droids, which is excellent because they're the ones that are going to do the true damage to the enemy. As well as, I think, our dwarf spider droids. There's on top there. Got some source of ARC troopers because they have the field base up and running here. We do have to come down here to support though. We're losing that garrison. Might actually change this to an anti-infantry gun.
Yes, sir.
We did lose the turret over here, so we're going to rebuild that. There we go. Tank's doing good there. Not so much for our destroyer droids. Do we have any... I can't see. Here is a turret we could likely take. Probably should.
Backing down.
We have over here. Okay, we're holding ground. Need to bring in some more reinforcements in this area though. Make sure we do capture these properly.
Turret constructing. We've secured a build pad. Turret constructing.
Okay, so what we're doing over here, were we not able to come through here properly? That's interesting. Let's come back down then, because we can see the enemies coming through this area.
Construction complete.
Okay, we're gonna just pull back through to the turrets over here.
Construction complete.
Probably have made a repair station for our spider droids.
Is under attack.
Okay, enemies coming through here. Let's stand on the turrets and defend. Just so much fire coming in though from these speeders. Look at how quickly they deal with us there. Have to stand in defense in this area. Looks like a bombing run is coming through. Interesting. Can we push through here? We might just want to build a repair station for our spider droids. Okay, we see an ACPT coming through. Excellent, but we can get that isolated. Let's pull back down. Yeah, look at these enemies coming through. Miss this particular build pad here. That is a big mistake. Deal with this individually. I'm actually struggling with the terrain with this particular turret, which is rather silly. Okay, let's come back over here. We'll actually build an anti-tank turret, because that might do a little bit better against these speeders. Okay, let's move through here. We've repaired. Get rid of these ACPTs. What is going on here? That turret was not allowed to be completed. Rather sad there. There's a lot of speeders. Still struggling with the terrain by the looks of things. Don't have the accuracy for some reason. Perhaps anti-tank turrets were the way to go. Not a bother. Look at all of this coming through. Struggling even with these ARC troopers. Get us on top of here. Defend, please. Please move. Yeah, just not going to happen. Walk through our barracks. We're not going to get any more infantry reinforcements. Any bit more bombardment is ready. And I think that's going to have to be a retreat. Which is very, very sad indeed. Overwhelmed by so many speeders. There we go. Destroyed 7 out of 15. So that's something. We will have to come back over there then and plug that gap once again. But I think, guys, that is unfortunately all we have time for today. We will be carrying on with the next video by taking Kashyyyk, of course. We need to plug that gap, as well as probably Ubrikia there. And then, of course, really tighten ourselves over here. Should have taken Renvar ages ago. But honestly didn't think they'd come out with any source of force on that isolated planet, being so limited as it is. But not to worry, we can certainly deal with that. Just means we need to pull our reinforcements around, and we'll probably look at taking Kilura as well later on. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video today, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to have to see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.